Hi, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
And this is Northwest Brew Talk. Welcome to Northwest Brew Talk, the #1 podcast on Northwest beer, brought to you by Micro Homebrew, located in Kenmore, Washington. This is episode number 88. Each and every week, we promote the Northwest brewing industry by talking to those people involved and drinking their beer. If you like craft beer, learn about the people behind it here on our show. This week on the Micro Homebrew interview, we're talking with At Large Brewing. We also have our brew news and views and music from Mercy Brown.
If you're new to the show, we suggest you take a moment and head back to the website and check out our back catalog with some awesome interviews and, of course, lots and lots of beer. If you have comments or questions, you can send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at nwbrewtalk and on Facebook at facebook.com/nwbrewtalk. If you like the show and want to support us, share our link and tell your friends on social media.
All right, let's start today's show. What do we got, Michelle?
Our first pour tonight is from Seattle Cider, and we're going to go with a Halloween theme. This year we are drinking their seasonal Pumpkin Spice Cider. This semi-sweet cider is copper in color and perfect for fall. Fermented with cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and cloves, it offers hints of the season's favorite spices, followed by just a touch of pumpkin. 6.9% ABV and an untapped rating of 3.68.
6.9%.
Oh, copper. I was expecting a little darker color. This is pretty light.
Yeah, this is not copper at all. This is very light. See-through, I can see you right through this glass here.
Oh, it smells good, though.
Yeah, it smells very good.
Smells like
6.9% we might be. Oh, by the time we're done. Wow, that is really sweet.
Oh, my God. I love it.
Really sweet.
I really wasn't sure.
Pumpkin.
I'm not one of those people that, does the pumpkin spice latte stuff, and
yeah.
This is good though.
Yeah,
this is good. I like it a lot.
Super sweet. It's got a great flavor. It's got all those nutmeg and stuff. You can taste it all in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it is like having a almost like a piece of pumpkin pie.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I am definitely giving that a thumbs up. That is a very, very nice taste.
How could you not?
Yeah,
we're finishing this one tonight. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, there was no head when you poured this. It was a clean pour, nothing at all. But this is really good flavored.
I wonder what happened to that color.
They lost it somewhere along the line, but yeah, it's good and good start to the show. And like you said, this is our Halloween themed show. We're gonna have another Halloween themed drink later in the show. And now on to this week's brew news. All right, this week on our brew news and views, had a couple different stories. The first one was in the Portland Tribune last month, and it was about how several cities, including Portland, are using sewage water through their waste treatment plant, cleaning it up, and then showing that they can drink that water by having homebrewers brew beer.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And, one of the reasons that they started doing this is because water is something that we are running out of. The fresh water is not going to be around forever. And so they're finding ways to recycle the water. And I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's something that we've talked about. You didn't want to leave the Buffalo area because you have the Great Lakes right there. And, that's our fresh water. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think it's really cool that they're using this to, and I mean, make beer, one of our other favorite things. So.
Well, yeah. Well, hey, if astronauts can recycle their urine and drink that,
absolutely, there's
no reason why we can't do this. I mean, look at what the Gates Foundation. I mean, not the Gates Foundation. Janicki with the Gates Foundation, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Doing things in recycling waste,
yeah,
and turning it into drinkable water.
Yeah.
So. It's obviously a very cool thing. Now, most people would think it's disgusting, but
when you see Bill Gates standing there drinking water that was just poo moments before,
somebody let it go, they cleaned it up, and he's drinking it. I mean,
hey, if Bill Gates can trust it,
exactly. So what it was Oregon Brew Crew and Sustainable Water Challenge, and they said that what it was judges selected from 40 different beers made by Oregon homebrewers. Now, the one thing that the beers shared in common was obviously the highly purified water from the waste treatment plant. But the big thing was all the beers had to come from, they came from the same Clean Water Services wastewater treatment plant, and they all had to be a certain beer. What kind of beer was that?
Saisons, Kolsch's, Pale Ale, or Pilsner.
Okay, yeah. They all had to be that because those were beers that aren't real easy to cover up the flavor, and they said that
Right.
It's good beer to good water to
Lower gravity was the
yeah,
idea there.
that was the big thing. So, pretty cool. Apparently, this event was launched in 2014 as a partnership between Portland-based Oregon Brew Crew, which hails itself as Oregon's oldest homebrew club, Washington County Government's Clean Water Services, and Corallo Engineers. And was to initiate a conversation about the nature of water and build awareness that all water is actually recycled. And that's really true. I mean, from rain that comes from the ocean that falls down in the mountains as snow and then is melted and goes through streams and rivers and everything and ends up in somebody's treatment plant that becomes water that we drank that goes back out to back to treatment plants and everything.
Right.
And it's all recycled somehow.
Right.
I mean, there's not an endless supply of it.
That's the thing. There's not an endless supply. There's got to be ways to reuse the water that we...
Exactly. So the big thing was the purity of the water, they said, exceeds the most stringent drinking water standards. And they said they're not in the beer business, but they're trying to change the way that people... change the conversation about the way people see how wastewater is used. So the competitors did those type of beers, those different specific styles of beers, because they were lower gravity and they use pure water, which makes it easier to work with. And these a lot of the competitors said that the water was really good water to use.
Yeah, I like this quote from Patrick McKillissy. I think I'm probably butchering that last name, but lives in West Slope. He got fourth place with his Belgian style beer, and he said that purified wastewater is actually a brewer's dream in that it isn't full of treatment additives typical of a municipal tap water. With Portland water, you have to get the water report to know what's in it. Okay. The purified wastewater is so clean, it's an absolute blank slate.
Yeah, and that's it. It's clean. There's no fluoride. There's no nothing in it. Yep. It's really clean. And the winning beers were sent to the International Water Environment Federation Technical Exhibition and Conference in New Orleans, where they were featured alongside beers from Florida and Wisconsin. That was last month. And it's considered the world's largest water quality exhibition. And the winning beer was a cream ale. American cream ale, created by Portland resident Steve Woods. So pretty cool. Definitely something interesting.
Absolutely. Very cool.
The other story we're going to talk about tonight was from MarketWatch.com, written by a man named Jason Nati. In his opinion, craft beer buyouts give NFL fans more for their buck. Well, first off, before I say anything, I'm going to say that that's BS. I mean, the basic premise of his story is that because ABI and Miller Coors are buying up these craft breweries, now these craft breweries are getting a shot in some big stadiums. And that's too bad. We look. He specifically mentions that craft beers had a better shot in NFL stadiums he was talking about. But craft beers had a better shot in baseball stadiums and in soccer stadiums even more so. And we know that CenturyLink Field, where the...
Safeco, where the Mariners play.
Yeah, where the Mariners play. They have a lot of local beers.
Well, they have a specific night, too, on Friday games or something. Or maybe it's just one special night a season where they have Brewers Night, basically, where they have just local craft brews.
Yeah, they have a ton of them. It's actually a big deal.
Yeah.
But they carry quite a few, and it's a big deal for some of the Washington Brewers to get in there.
Yeah.
But they also carry the other ones from ABI and, Blue Moon and that kind of stuff. And... what he's saying is, in 2009, NFL, the U.S. was in a recession. The average cost of the cheapest beer at an NFL stadium was $6.87. By last year, it had climbed to $7.42, but the average size had gone from 18 ounces to 16 ounces, which is typical of all things. The price goes up,
size goes down.
size goes down, and that's the way they justify. Or the price doesn't go up much, but the size goes down to compensate for it.
Yeah.
So in 2009, St. Louis Rams offered the most expensive beer at $8.75, and last year, the Oakland Raiders had the audacity to charge a league-high $10.75 for their lowest-priced beer.
Ouch.
Now I remember going to hockey games back in Buffalo, and they weren't cheap. I think we were paying $7 for a big beer. But still, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
They were big beers. They were probably 20-ounce beers, but they were still expensive.
Yeah, and for mega beer, too.
Exactly. That was, for the most part, it's probably Labatt's I think we were buying.
That's what you usually drank, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they didn't offer.
No. Now, in 2011, Anheuser-Busch InBev paid $1.2 billion to secure the NFL's official beer sponsorship for Budweiser, and they took it away from Molson Coors, their Coors Light. That same year, Anheuser-Busch purchased Goose Island for $38.8 million. So basically, he goes on to say that there was a bunch of other breweries that were purchased after that. That was kind of like the start of it all. And then, why should that matter to football fans? Especially since it's excelled with, like I said, with baseball and soccer, and most of them have ignored the NFL because it's expensive to get into.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. As Miller Coors clarified, their company is still the exclusive beer partner of the Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, and Dallas Cowboys. But AB InBev extended its league sponsorship, and that deal takes them all the way through 2022, and it gives them exclusive rights to the Super Bowl ad time that it's had since 1988, wow, and paid $278 million for since 2006. While Miller's Coors notes that its share sponsorship of 14 teams with ABI, the ABI has the right to use all of their logos on packaging. So it's a very complicated set of deals between them all.
Right.
And like it does mention specifically here, Craft Brew Alliance's Red Hook, of which ABI owns nearly 32%. They brewed their Fall Start Session IPA for the Seattle Seahawks in 2014, and because they are tied to ABI, they were able to get it in the CenturyLink field along with their Longhammer IPA and other similar beers. And, they just go on and says that, Molson Coors did certain things in Colorado with the Denver Broncos, and then ABI bought Breckenridge Brewing, and they're finally going to actually get a shot at being in the stadium there. And, it says he says craft beer for its part seemed more than willing to forego the expensive sports partnerships and large-scale placement deals with airports, airlines, and the like until it wasn't. Until it wasn't. I don't know what the hell that means. Earlier this year, the Brewers Association Craft Beer Industry Group cried about the state of craft beer selection at sports venues, but it's I don't know. I think in the end, he says craft beer wants to play in big beer spaces, but doesn't want to pay big beer prices for doing so. And he's saying that good because of these purchases of Elysian and Goose Island and Ballast Point and all these ones that now craft beer has a shot. Well, no, it doesn't have a shot in the same space because it's
not that's not craft. That's not craft beer to me.
It's ABI or Miller Coors or Heineken owned.
Yep.
And because of their power, their money,
now,
their marketing.
Maybe what he's saying is because somebody might try an IPA or a porter or something, that a craft brewer would make. And they'll say, oh, wow, this is pretty good. And then they'll seek out other craft beer. So maybe it would have that kind of offshoot that the customers would then turn to craft. But
it's possible. I don't think that's what he's going at. He's going at it from a business marketing,
It doesn't make sense for craft small breweries.
It's not going to
even.
It's not going to get our At Large here that we're going to be talking to in a few minutes. It's not going to get them in CenturyLink.
No, but if you are a consumer and you would like to try craft beer when you're at your games,
yes,
you have to make an effort and say to the owners of these places and start talking and demanding that they start offering craft beer, and then they'll say, okay, we're going to open up a tap, or whatever to craft beer. And then the craft beer people can do whatever they do to, submit whatever.
Yeah.
I really know how this all works, obviously.
Yeah. No, the one thing, the one thing that they did say was that, Goose Island founders specifically mentioned that their featured spot at Wrigley Field is one of the key benefits of selling to ABI. So there you go.
There you go.
There you go again.
So if you want to be in the stadiums, then you should just sell out.
Exactly. I mean, if your goal is to be a big brewery, then obviously you want to sell to one of the major conglomerates.
I think that the craft beer industry has proven that they don't need the stadiums in order to thrive in this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyhow, this is this week's Brew News.
Welcome back to Northwest Brew Talk. If you want to submit news to Northwest Brew Talk, send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. If you've not yet subscribed to our podcast, why not do it now? It's free, available anywhere you listen to podcasts, including iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and Google Play Music.
All right, and you can check out all of our episodes on YouTube. Whatever ones aren't there, they will eventually be there. And all of our episodes will be there. And next week, we're going to have a surprise announcement for you. But first, this week on the Micro Homebrew interview, we're going to talk to Jim from At Large Brewing in Everett, Washington. All right, we're here with Jim from At Large Brewing in Everett. How you doing?
Great.
Awesome. So, why don't we start out by giving us a little background, how you got started in brewing?
All right, I started out as a home brewer. Went to a party and met a gentleman there that had some beer, and we liked it so much, and he said, well, I can show you how. From that point forward, we took some time, learned the procedure from him and some others, and it just escalated from there. We went in all grain, never did any extract as home brewers. Started off with a few quick 10-gallon batches and then went to 15 gallons. And within a year, we were doing a barrel of select beers that all of our friends seemed to like the most. Had a bunch of taps at our house. And then Karen, my better half, she decided to go back to school for some classes, and one of her classes was business management, and she had to do a paper on starting her own business, and said, why don't we just do this? We've thought about it and talked about it, and voila, here we sit today. A year in our garage in Marysville, just growler sales, and then Memorial Day weekend this year, we opened this facility up, and it's been stars and stripes since. It's been awesome.
Wow. So you've only been open here just, 3 or 4 months then?
Yeah, since Memorial Day. So basically June 1st, the weekend that goes into June 1st till now, yeah. And been learning and growing as it need be. We just got our second bright tank a week ago and ready to get it online, get some more kegs coming, and moving forward. It's great.
Nice. So we were talking about before we started, you've got a unique location in that you have a parking lot, you have a standalone building. So how did that come about?
It came about from the folks we lease from. The manager of commercial real estate for them lives near us and would come and get growler fills. And so this gentleman kept coming by, getting a growler or two. And then one day he pushes a cart across our little makeshift counter in our garage and says, hey, if you're ever interested in a larger place or growing, we'd love to have you in Everett. And So we took the card and said, yeah, show us what you got, because we had been looking kind of north and kind of anywhere, really. We weren't really sure where we wanted to land. He showed us a few spots downtown, and they were the typical smaller slot spots, no parking to speak of, and crammed in there with a bunch of pizzerias and bakeries and everything else, which isn't a bad place. It just wasn't large enough and big enough beyond what we had at our garage to make the move worthwhile.
Right.
And we kind of gave him a rundown on what we thought we wanted. And he said, okay, I'll look around. It's kind of tough. And we said 2,000 square feet, some parking would be good, a couple bathrooms and room to grow. A month or two went by, and we were looking at some other spots and met with some other realtors. And he said, hey, I think I might have the spot. He goes, problem is it's 4,000 square feet. And to me, I'm thinking high money. Mm-hmm. And he goes, no, we'll make it right for you. I think it's got everything you want. And we looked at it, and as soon as we pulled in the parking lot, we knew. Mm-hmm. The trim was black, the building was white, goes with our colors. It's like we saw the whole thing unfold, and as soon as we walked in, we saw the exposed ceiling, and we both said, this is going to work. Yeah. We can make this happen. I mean, and it needed a bunch, to say the least. But hard work, good people around us, and they've been more than amazing. I mean, he came to us with, we're beer friendly, which was a hurdle that we'd come across, looking for spots. Mm-hmm. We've heard that from other people and colleagues we know in the business, that not all places are accepting of breweries. You know, they're either against the marijuana or against the breweries, and they kind of lump us all the same, even though we're family friendly. Mm-hmm. We're only open till 10 on the weekends, 9 on the weekdays, 8 at Sunday. So it's not truly like a tavern or a full-blown bar, singles bar or anything.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So, do you know what this building was before?
Our researchers showed us, and they knew, because right across the street from us is the Everett Herald, the old Everett Herald, where they used to do all the printing when printing was running at its full capacity. And so this location was one of their 5. They had 5 in the city, 5 regional distribution centers. And so they did that, and they did the news box repair, where you put your coins in and pull your Sunday paper out. So on the floor right by you, Mike, there's some red paint. Oh, yeah. That's the color of the Everett Herald news boxes. Well, somebody must have messed up and painted the floor. Well, we kept it. Yeah. We cleaned the floor and then just sealed right over it to kind of keep some of that feel of the building. So, and we've had a number of people older come in and say, I worked here. I remember this. You guys, I can't believe this is the same building, because they came, and then a friend of mine's dad actually worked here, and he used to come here as a kid. And goes, wow, I've never seen it look anything like this. So from complete industrial to where it's safe for kids to crawl on the floor if they had to. Yeah, nice. Brewery clean, let's say. Yeah.
Which is important for breweries.
It's very important. Yeah. And that was one of our fears, and I think that's what turned a lot of people off that may have looked at it prior to us, is that it just needed a lot. The floor on the other side was rough in spots. They had no intentions of having anything like this in here, of course. And so, that being said, it wasn't an astronomical amount of work, but it needed to get to the way we wanted it. Right. And by dropping our kitchen in, that was a huge task with the floor and getting everything health coded to what they wanted and everything. But yeah.
So, At Large, you have the speakeasy type theme, and your beers are named similarly. So, So where does that come from?
That comes from us having another name selected. We purchased some products. In the process of that, an email went out to us, and it accidentally grabbed someone that had a similar one word in their name, similar to the other name we had. They contacted the supplier and said, hey, we want to talk to these guys, no problem. We just want to let them know a few things. So they did. They're from the Midwest. They gave me a number. I contacted them, and they're like, hey, just to let you know, there's a place in New York that has one of the words that's in both of our 3 names that you may want to be leery of. They came after us legally. You aren't there yet, because our paperwork was still at the TTB, the Trade Tax Bureau of the federal government. And he said they will come at you So you may want to think about right now changing. So that said, we discussed it, and they're small too. They said, we don't have the legal staff to mess with these guys. We're not going to even bother. So we're just going to jump out. So they did. And we did. So in a 24-hour period, because of the urgency of the paperwork, we knew right then we needed to come up with something. So brainstorming with me and Karen and another friend, he wasn't in front of us. He was via text, and we're thinking of all these different angles and stuff. And it started, I was upset. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, man, if we could just go underground somehow and not get this,
Yeah.
And it's like, kind of like a criminal, like the criminals at large. They can't find it.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm like, yeah, like at large. We're at large. We cannot be seen because of that.
Yeah.
And the whole kind of secretive thing kind of came, and it's like we floated around to a few other people, and they're like, that's amazing, yeah. And so we did a privacy check and then a what they call patent check on it to make sure, and then immediately grabbed on.
Yeah.
And with that, we could totally see the inner workings of different names,
mm-hmm.
and I mean, there's so much to do with the prohibition, and we wanted to make sure we didn't get into any issues with anybody else that had any of the similar stuff, and so far nobody's had any issues, so we were
awesome.
okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, how long ago did you start homebrewing?
We started in 2011.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not a whole long time, and it escalated pretty fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did some competitive homebrewing, and we weren't really into the real stiff competition of the homebrew stuff. We were more of the kind of the seat of the pants feel. So we did our market research through our homebrew club, which is GEBL, the Greater Everett Brewers Club League. Homebrew club, largest in Washington, and a lot of great brewers out of there. People know beer, and by the overwhelming support we got from them, loving the beer, nothing but good stuff, just talking about the beer, the styles, we're hitting the styles, and with that gave us a lot of confidence to keep pursuing it. And I do the recipes and getting my recipe formulation down and learning about the yeasts and hops, and just self-taught, really. And it's just research, development. And we always had a motto when we brew: we don't do a small batch or have somebody with a 5-gallon pot or even a 1-gallon batch on the stove. People do that to formulate, to make sure it's right. We just said our thing is we just go all in. When I feel good about it, she says, is it right? I go, yep. Then we roll it. And even now today on our 3-barrel, we roll them straight up. No test, just go. And we take what it gives us, and knock on wood, so far everything's been good.
So you immediately went into all grain. Now, is that how you learned too, right?
That's how I learned. Yeah. The gentleman that taught me, he was all grain, and one of my things was to ask these guys. A couple of them been brewing for many, many, many years, 10, 15 years. I asked them, what would you do different if you were me starting right now? Mm-hmm. Starting right now, what would you do? And I said, I want to keep the cost to a dual roar because I'm not sure this is for us. We don't know. We've never done anything like this before. We're not sure. We want to do as much right as we can without getting too crazy on the money. And they're like, don't bottle. Waste of time. Keg. So get some kegs. Just use carboys and start like that. And that's what we did. And we grew from there with the beer as we felt more comfortable with it, and we could see things we needed to change as we did our own system. We were gravity first, and I could see the need, it's too hard, it's too dangerous to have pots high in the air. Lifting things, we were lifting pots to let them gravity feed into the carboys. It's like, no, we need to start with pumps. And pumps led to hoses. Hoses is meant to better fitting so the hoses doesn't pop off when you have the thing, and it's just more research and no plastic, glass or stainless. And so there's growing things, and it's not the only way to do it, but it's the way I wanted to do it, and it's the way I felt I could produce the best product at the end, and even as a home brewer.
Yeah.
And I often told people, they said, man, you run this thing like it's a commercial setting. I go, to a point. I mean, and that was my vision then of it running like that. But now running a commercial brewery wasn't quite like that, but it's very similar. And respect. And it's so funny because now we've got our new system down. It's just like a big homebrew system to us because we're used to it. It's just everything's bigger. Noses are bigger, pumps are bigger, quantity's bigger, yeast pitch is bigger, hop quantity's bigger, grain mill same, but larger amounts.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, what does, I know you say we all the time, so what does your wife have input on in the beer itself?
She's the palate,
Okay.
nose, style. Sure, her input was when we were first going, she's like, we need to make a beer that is like this. Let's make our IPAs not so bitter. We were coming off the big bitter hop bombs, that were all. So I remember us getting a bottle of Stone IPA. And she's like, we need that. And then we got Firestone Walker and we could smell it. It's like, we hadn't smelled beer like that.
Yeah.
Nobody in the homebrew, it's almost impossible we'd hear. All kinds of naysayers. You can't do that. It's like, why? My question was always why. And that being said, we started to research and figure out, we just have to dry hop them really hard. And it was so funny, I met a guy once and he's like, whatever you think is enough, whatever your mind tells you is enough dry hop, double it. Mm-hmm. Don't even think about it. Just double it. Just try it. Mm-hmm. So we did. And guess what? All of a sudden, bam, big nose comes out and the beer's got this flavor that other homebrewers are like, how'd this happen? It's like, it happens because you research and you figure it out. You take chances and go that way with it. And so her driving that, and her part in the brewery is huge. She brews right next to me. She does all the work with the federal government. She does all the work with the local liquor control. She's the engineer behind the kitchen. She's got kitchen background. Amazing to be able to work with someone all the way through our days spent together all the time, and it's nice to have a partner like that trust and love, and so it's an excellent, I guess, scenario for us both to be able to do this as our soon to be, for me, our only income.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm retiring from my day job on the 30th of September.
Oh, nice.
A little sooner than we thought.
Yeah.
I've been in sales in the building industry for 12 years, and my life has been spent in construction since I was in my early 20s, and so stepping completely out of it has been scary and hard because I didn't dislike my job, and the people that I work for and with are like family. Very difficult, but things need to change, and we need to move forward with this, and the only way it's going to happen effectively is to be here full time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, can we try some beers and talk about them? All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We're going to try sample some beers and we talk a little bit about them then.
We'll go this way. So
Sure.
This would be an American Hef. We call it Straw Hat. Just a real easy wheat beer, American style, so it doesn't have the clovey German style banana flavor to it. It's basically a base beer for the one that we're going to have at the end, which we call Packing Heat, which we infuse with jalapenos, and we usually do it summertime, midsummer to late summer. Every year we'll do this one, just kind of as a seasonal thing, and so this is the base for that.
Sure. A lot of malt. There's a lot of malt flavor in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, but it's got that wheat. The wheat might be what you're getting. That wheat plays on it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then this one is a session IPA, and it's a real gentle session, so it's kind of like a gateway beer for people that aren't into like IPAs per se. And this one gives them a little bit of the hop nose and a little bit of the hop flavor through, but it's pretty inintrusive. It's not intrusive like an IPA would be to their palates.
Okay.
So it's on the run.
On the run?
On the run.
Oh, yeah. That's good, too.
Yeah, little nose to it. Not a lot.
Yeah, but again, it's got a nice flavor.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, now this one is the BSB. This is the Belgian Blonde, and this one's got some history. We call it the backstabbing bitch is what its name is. And it has history. A version of it was done as homebrewers, and we called it that because of the sneak up factor with it. It's 8.5%. We can make it move on the ABV level. It used to be a well over 9 when we would homebrew, and it will take you down. Yeah. You don't realize what you've got. It's light like lager light in color, and flavor. It almost comes off with a slight sweetness, but it has that Belgian note that throws you off. And then the ABV comes up on you, and if you're sitting down and you have 3, you know it when you got up. Yeah. And so it is like, that seemed like a very fitting name because it just sneaks up on you. Yeah. So it stuck.
Nice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's got the light Belgian-y.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, that's, and what I can see with that high ABV, you would drink a couple of those, you wouldn't even know.
You don't even know. And so this is Sitting Pretty, our brown ale. And it's just a real easygoing American brown, not overly hopped. It's got a lot of nice roasted barley flavors to it. Yeah, it's really easygoing. People that tend to like light beers or even blondes will go this way. Ambers, it fits their palate. Yeah, nice and easy. Yep.
What's this one called?
Sitting Pretty.
Yeah. So far, honestly, there's not one that isn't good.
Thank you. Thank you. And so this one, that's the Says You IPA. We did it as a New England style. I was hoping that it would stay a little more cloudy, and we'll go back through and lower the amount of clarifier we put in it, which is all natural Irish moss. So it is a wheat and oat complex beer, no crystal malt, and some of your favorite smelly hops are in it, and a West Coast yeast, let's say.
Okay. Yeah. So, for people that don't know, what is the New England IPA? What's the difference?
New England or Northeast IPA that we're referring to are brewed by some extraordinary brewers up there in the Northeast, Vermont, Maine, to name a few: The Alchemist, Treehouse, Trillium, Bissell Brothers, Maine Brewing, Lawson's Finest Liquids. These guys have trended the IPAs to my palate. I love them. I think a lot of them are deviating from crystal malt. I think their water profile is definitely a little bit different. They're using the same a lot of the hops, we're all using kind of the same stuff. It's how they're putting them in. A lot of late addition. Oats, flaked barley, and wheat seem to be very prominent in them. Some of them are almost so cloudy you can't see through them, and they almost don't look drinkable. Us on this side of the country, we have to get used to that still. It hasn't quite came here. It's not accepted quite yet. We're going to start hazing them a little bit more when we do them and get the haze up a little bit more in them. But it's the total hop forward flavor with almost very little bittering. I mean, a lot of the IBUs on these are so low that you would think it was a pale ale. They're in the low 50s. This one's in the 50s, but it still has that IPA punch to it. So West Coast, East Coast, I think they're going to come as a one, but so far right now they're kind of standing out, and a lot of folks out here still haven't grabbed hold of the concept. They still think that the hot IPAs are coming out of Southern Cal and Washington, and I always tell them, look at Beer Advocate, look at the top 50 list, and then you only need one hand to count the beers from the West Coast that are on that list. And you look at the top 10 at IPAs, and they're all from back there. So they say, I don't like East Coast IPA. Check Beer Advocate, and then broaden your horizons and try to get some of it and see what you think.
So what's this one called then?
Says You.
Says You, okay. Yeah, it has a different flavor to it. Yeah. Yeah, it's good though. Yeah, it is different.
Yeah, it's different. Very little bitterness to it. Hops are forward, fruity, and that they want that citrusy, almost. I don't want to say orange juice, but it almost gives you that play in a way. And there is no fruit or any kind in it. But yep.
Good. So what do we have next?
This is At Large IPA.
Okay.
It's not truly like our flagship, but it came at a time we had a name for it. The name was taken, and it's like, what are we going to call this thing? And I was in a mental block, and I just thought, why not call it the At Large IPA? We don't have one of those yet. And it was always one of our favorites as a home brewer. So it's definitely more of a West Coast style IPA. So it's a little more on the same tropical kind of flavors, but more, I guess, grain forward in it. And it's also a favorite. Yeah.
Not you. You can have some later. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
And we're just a week where you missed it by a week. Our Hitting on All Six IPA is probably our best seller.
Oh, yeah.
And it's another New England style, and it flies out. I mean, we don't distribute it. We won't distribute it. We keep it here only, and it's the only, that and our stout are the two beers so far in our short life here that we're getting calls. When's the Hitting coming back? When's it coming back? Can you give me a timeline? It's like, well, yeah, okay, it'll be back. Just since we don't flagship anything, we rotate always. So our tap list is ever changing, ever evolving, and each beer will be here, and it could be gone next week whenever it runs out, and something else will take its place. And so it's kind of interesting for folks to come in, regulars that come in and say they miss a week or two. They come in, the first thing they do is look at the tap list. Oh, look, it's changed. Awesome, I got to try this one. And so getting that little bit of interest in seeing something new, and you're not walking in the same 4 beers all the time.
Right.
And maybe 1 or 2 other ones that they may or may not like, and they don't put their heart into as a brewer. And so we like to have them ever evolving. And so you never know really what's going to be on tap, which is kind of nice.
Right. So how often do you brew?
We try to brew once to twice a week, and it really is going to pick up the speed a little bit as soon as I put my other Bright online. And that'll give us an option to get the fermenter empty, which then is our signal to brew. When we definitely try, and as soon as I'm here full time, we will definitely see to it that never an empty fermenter, because they need to be filled. We just don't have enough quantity to not have them full all the time.
Right.
And I foresee it getting a little busier, and then when we go to do some small distribution, definitely need to have all the fermenters full at all times.
Right.
Yeah. Plus, I love to brew. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We've talked to people, or same thing, stories where people, they're home brewers, they love to brew, and then they start a brewery, and it gets too big, and they don't even get to brew anymore.
Yeah.
Size-wise, do you want to stay to the point where you can continue to brew?
Yes. Yeah. For the foreseeable future, I wouldn't mind teaching somebody, but it would have to be somebody that's got to show me that that's something that they really, really want to do as much as I do.
Yeah.
And even though it's really not theirs per se, but I would say that they could take that knowledge and carry it beyond us if they chose to. And then even do it here. I have no problem with that. I think one of the things, and it could be just me, and it could be just what I see out of the industry, is a lot of breweries are lose touch with what got them to the rodeo per se. You know, they rode this horse in, and they're losing touch with what got them there, what they're about, and we want to change that. And at the expense of growth, at the expense of the almighty dollar. I mean, our beers will never suffer on a lack of hops. Our beers will never suffer on uniqueness, the way we see unique in our style, the way we like to brew. And we're going to focus on keeping us involved in the brewery to the end. I feel that it's needed, and that's what got us where we are, and we're going to continue to do that. And if that means not as much growth, then that's what it means. We'll just stay right here and do what we do right here. Yeah. And I'm good with that.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Good philosophy there. So what do you have next?
This is the Full Monty Black IPA.
Okay.
Named after my friend Monty. Monty had a love with a beer that's locally known out of Ellensburg. Irish Death, wonderful beer. And he's like, that's the best beer. And I'm like, that's a good beer. He goes, can you make one like that? Make it like that? I go, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to make a beer that I hope you'll like better. And the process started to try to make this black IPA evolve into a beer that he would accept and like. And we kept it unnamed for the longest time. And after many renditions of it, it was one recipe that it's taken a number of shots at, batches for me to get it to where I felt the flavor was right for me and Karen. And then, of course, Monty loved them all.
Oh, of course.
And I don't think he could really tell the difference between any of them, but that's between me and you, unless he hears this. But he still loves it today and still claims it's the same as it was the first time. And that's what matters. And so hence we named it the Full Monty, because he's just one of those guys that he's full and of something else and Monty.
Nice. So, try that. So, what changed from the first time you did this?
I messed with the dark grains. We were particular on making them so they don't have a burnt taste, and we don't like, as Karen refers to it, as an ashy taste. And a lot of stouts get that way. It's like they're putting too much the heavier black malts in it, trying to get it dark. And it's not hard. I haven't found an issue with it getting it dark. It's getting the flavor profile right and changing the hop in it a little bit. It gets so much hop, and I'm still at a perplex that it doesn't throw the noses like a lot of IPAs do. It still is held back slightly, and it's just from the dark grain. And it's definitely, I generated it from ground up. It's not a porter or a stout that I just threw hops in. It's done in a way to try to get it to show some hops, and it does. Don't get me wrong. It gives all of it, and it's got a fan base. People that like IPAs come, nope. I mean, it's good, but it's not for me. And then there's people that just want it, and they come in and they just have it, and it's a unique beer, and lives up to the name Full Monty.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It does have some like stout or porter flavor to it.
All dark beers are going to have that, because that's what we reflect back to the dark beers being. Sure. Unless it's like a Schwartz, which is just basically a dark-colored lager. But it needed enough backbone and enough oomph to carry the hop load I wanted to give it. And it definitely is, it's a unique beer.
Yeah.
It's different, for sure.
It's good.
Okay. And
jalapeno.
Yep. I saved it for last because I know it's going to be a palate record. At least it is for me. It's not super, so I'd urge you to smell it first, Mike. Go ahead and give it a smell and tell me what you think this thing is going to do to you.
Okay. Yeah, it smells very jalapeno.
Smells
like
hot.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be hot. So the jalapeno concept came from a close friend. Was our guy that we got homebrew supplies from. I first got all my equipment from him. Wonderful guy, retired, has his own little homebrew store in Lake Stevens out of his house. He's the one that came with the idea and the procedure of how to do the jalapenos, and he's told us how to do it. And because he wanted to see it on the commercial market, he wanted to see a rendition of his baby that he created, this jalapeno beer. He uses a blonde. I went away from the blonde. I wanted to have the wheat beer as a base because I feel it showcases it's a better launching point for flavored stuff. A raspberry wheat, you hear all these blueberry wheat. It's the wheat that profiles the smells and flavors a little bit better, in my opinion, and my research shows. So, with that said, we took that and evolved it to this, and his have gone all over the board, hot to not very much, and we kind of went right in the middle. And I was a little worried because we hadn't done it at a scale like this, so having the amount right. Of course, we in our philosophy, no second chances. It's you get up and you swing, and that's it. And so there it is.
Yeah.
And I think we got it right. It has the nose we wanted, where it makes you think. People go, oh. And I go, yeah, but you got to try it. And it's not super hot, but it's there. So it's beer first, jalapenos in the background, and you'll get maybe a slight little bit of neck warmth out of it in the very back. And so it's very pleasant. Very pleasant.
All right. Oh, yeah, you definitely get the jalapeno flavor. Mm-hmm. And it does smell a lot more than...
It smells a lot more than it really does to you.
But you do get a lot of the wheat from your other beer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, you definitely, like you said, you think that it's going to be a lot hotter.
That's what I kind of wanted to see. We wanted to see it be that illusion of that this thing's going to be like all the other pepper or hot beers that are out there, and a lot of them are just too hot and they just overwhelm you. And I mean, this go around, we did it last time, and we would do it in growlers. It was basically the same, but then we had people coming, man, if it could just be hotter, you should make it hotter. And I'm like, carry a bottle of Tabasco and just hit it with some if you want hotter. I mean, then it's individual to you. It's not, this one fits more of us than that one. And we're not, we're not big on putting fruit or flavor adjuncts in our beer. We're pretty much straight up beer forward brewery. Our palate and what we like beer. And when you start doing too much of that, there's a beer for everybody, and we appreciate the guys that do it. The guys that do it well. And I feel that it would deviate from our theories and thoughts on recipe formulation and everything. I don't think ours would be as good as those guys. So I'm not going to get in there. Right. I'm not going to go into their arena and try to mess with them. I'd rather just make beer, and this one's the one that we do. And, we're getting asked now, when's the pumpkin beer? And I haven't put my sign up, but we're going to put a sign up, gourd-free zone. I don't like pumpkin beer. Yeah. Sorry, brewery. Sorry. No pumpkin beer here. There just won't be any.
So we're not going to see you at Elysian's Pumpkin Festival?
No. No, I won't be there. Yeah, I've gone. Found a couple that were okay. Yeah. They do it right, though. They do. I mean, I get it, but it's kind of just not something we'll do. And same thing with like sours. People ask sours, and I go, I'm not a big sour guy. I appreciate what they do. I've had them. They get after my bill. I got an iron stomach, but they mess with me. And once you have them, you're ruined for the day. To be perfectly honest with you, I just don't understand it enough yet on how to keep it out of the rest of our beer with it floating around. And I'm prepared to learn at some point, and not saying it will never happen, but for the immediate future, no sours will come out of here. We do plan on doing some barrel stuff. I do have some barrel aged in a bourbon barrel stout, imperial stout. So we will do stuff like that. And maybe in the future, I would like to mess with some IPAs potentially in a barrel. I know that the oak kills the hops, so I haven't quite figured out how we're going to pull it off. But
right.
Yeah.
So I do see one barrel up on the shelf there. That you're not going to use in that
barrel.
one?
Yeah, we got another one there. Yeah, those are just there for looks. But yeah, no, we'd get larger barrels. Yeah, that would be a very small quantity in that one. Yeah.
But so what? How is the first 3 months then in the facility been going for you?
It's been going great. Yeah. Of course, we had our honeymoon. Like any other facility or restaurant or anything like that, you get your first big explosion. You get opening night was completely out of control, and then the rest of the weekend was pretty much the same. And then you get your little bit where the dust settles and you see how it's going to go. So, we've had a few nights that were relatively slow, and it's due to what else is going on, and one of the bigger things that we hear from people is it's a little bit hard to find. And of course, kind of fits what we like, but we would like it to be easier to find. So we've put a much larger sign above on the roof.
Yeah.
There is a daycare in the immediate area that their sign was on the roof when we got here, and city regulations are very difficult to overcome with signage out here. So we'll eventually probably do some kind of sandwich board out to draw some road traffic if they can't see the one that's above and on the building. Other than that, we've been doing social media and then festivals, and it's been going well enough. We're still getting people that live in the neighborhoods around us. And I had no idea you're here. I work right down the road. It's geez, So each one of those and those branches out to more has turned we're starting to see a nice trend flow of folks, and it's been great, overwhelming, to be honest with you. I mean, our projected time for me to retire from my other job was 8 months to a year. We figured we'd go into next spring, and by almost the year time, it would be time to go. And it's so much more work than we anticipated from being in the garage. Of course, it's right there. You just come out, get up, and go right there. It's there.
Yeah,
you got to come here.
Yeah.
Everything's different. There's a lot more to take care of. It requires a lot more of you, and we both are doing it. We both need to be engaged with it. She's been full-time since the start, and it's just taken its toll on her, and I'll be taking over some of the more of the brewery management side, and she'll be able to focus more on the tax and all the paperwork and ordering of different things and all the stuff that goes with a business like this. So it's going to be great to have it where we can both go, and then I think at that point we'll see an uptick just due to the fact that we'll be able to, during the day when everybody else is doing what they do, we'll be able to go and talk with people and do brewers' nights at different spots. We'll try to get a little bit more of the at-large out there and see. Yeah, festivals have been wonderful, though. We always get a great turnout at our spots there. The beer seems to carry itself well, and that's what I really wanted, was focus on the beer first, for sure. I mean, the facility's great view, great that. So once they have the beer somewhere else and they come and see the place, then it becomes the gears start to mesh, if you will, and they go, wow, this is cool. And that to me means more than any kind of financial gain from it. It's more of, that's what we wanted. We wanted to have a nice place to come in. We've got a real simple menu. We're not restaurateurs, we're brewers, and having some food on hand, and it's gotten great reviews. That and the beer makes it a nice place to come, and that's what we wanted. Yep. It's a place we'd go to, and that's what we kind of wanted.
Well, exactly, definitely.
Yep.
And the beer definitely is good. So So Jim, At Large Brewing in Everett, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I really appreciate you coming out.
Definitely. You're welcome.
Alrighty, thanks to Jim for joining us today.
Some great beers.
Yes, it was some really good beer.
If you are a home brewer looking for a great shop to buy your homebrew ingredients and equipment, why don't you check out Micro Homebrew in Kenmore? Tony and his staff are always happy to help a new or experienced homebrewer find what they need. At Micro Homebrew, they're proud to carry over 100 hop varieties. Visit them today at 17511 68th Avenue Northeast in Kenmore, or find them on Facebook at Micro Homebrew. When you stop in, make sure you tell them that you heard about them on Northwest Brew Talk.
And all right, we'll be right back after a music break from Mercy Brown.
Colorful boys and
That was News Complaint from Mercy Brown. You can check them out at mercybrown.com, mercy-brown.com. If you want to have your music played on Northwest Brew Talk, contact us today.
All right. To wrap up this week's show, another Halloween-themed beer.
This beer we get to thank McMenamins for. They sent us their Black Widow Porter. McMenamins has 8 Washington locations. Each deep black goblet of Black Widow is packed full of the robust notes afforded by generous amounts of black and roast malts and further spirited with ethereal wisps of caramel and licorice. Both substantial and sublime, this elixir is sure to slake the most fiendish of thirsts. Open up a creaking pub door, find a seat with friends and family, and nourish your inner ghoul, and brew steeped in tradition and mystery. A good howl at the Cheshire Moon wouldn't hurt either. 7.35% ABV, 41 IBUs, and an untapped rating of 3.82.
All right. It had a nice little head, but it disappeared kind of quick.
Wow, yeah,
this
it's gone.
Is black, dark, unable to see anything through this.
Black Widow.
It is Black Widow.
Smells good.
Smells like porter.
I'm really surprised at how fast the head went. I'm a little concerned, actually.
It poured.
Oh, that's so good.
When I poured it, it was like pouring black liquid. I mean, it was so black.
I'm trying to taste the licorice that they talk about in it, but I'm not really.
Yeah.
Kind of at the end?
Yeah, licorice, coffee, chocolate.
Yep, definitely tasting the coffee and the chocolate.
Yep, you can definitely get that at the end there.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's been when's the last time we had a porter on the show?
A while. I think
It's
we're
been
going to
quite a
have
while.
a couple of weeks. We're going to have a few beers, including a porter.
Awesome.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Oh, that's good. I like it a lot, too.
Yep. I am.
Thumbs up for sure.
I am debating.
You're debating. Mike is not a big porter
No,
fan.
I'm not. But you know what? It's a good beer, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
It does taste good. It's just not my favorite type of beer, but it is a good beer, so I will give it a thumbs up.
Awesome.
Yes.
Great.
All right. And you know, my friends, that brings us to the end of this episode of Northwest Brew Talk.
Make sure you tune in next week when we chat with Swinnerton Brewing.
Thanks to our sponsor, Micro Homebrew. This show is written and produced by Michelle Rizzo and myself.
If you'd like to contact us, you can email us at nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. Our theme music is from Gilbert Neal. You can check him out at gilbertneal.com.
We're also on Twitter at NWBrewTalk. And until next time, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
Stay hopping, my friends.